Lady Phyll, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
So I'm going to start with this year's theme, which is break the bias. And I'm really keen to hear about what that means to you.
Well, I guess when we're talking about breaking anything, it's either dismantling, deconstructing, removing, and getting that away. And when we think about bias, it's about those stigmas, the discrimination that faces us as women or international women on an everyday basis. So the theme is really relevant right now, where we want to debunk those myths about what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a Black woman, what it means to be a Black working class woman. And let's break that bias, but we have to do it together in a unified approach, because we can't break something if it's just us alone doing it.
Absolutely. And I would love for you to tell us about intersectionality. Why is it so important for everyone to understand the importance of intersectionality, especially in the context of International Women's Day, and how women from different communities might face different challenges and different realities in their day-to-day lives?
Well, Lucille, I love talking about intersectionality. I think it's something we don't explore enough. And when Professor Kimberly Crenshaw coined the word over 30 years ago, it was really to look at the ways in which oppression works, the social categorizations. As a Black woman who also happens to be an out lesbian woman, we experience very different things by way of race, the racism, classism, and sexism, and also, a multitude of other things that oppress us. So we take an intersectional approach and a lens to the work we do. But it's also really important to note that intersectionality is not a buzzword or a synonym for diversity. It really is about unpacking this from a deeper level to ensure that we're looking at equity, equality, yes, of course, diversity, inclusion, and all of those oppressions where we're trying to eradicate.
I wanted to ask you about UK Black Pride, which you founded over 16 years ago now. So could you tell me about your approach and why did you decided that perhaps there was a gap there, that communities might not have been represented in the LGBTQ plus community, or that discussions that you were telling us just now?
So when you think about prides, you think of them as a beacon of light for all people to come and celebrate their diversity, their gender identity, and their difference. And it's a celebration of joy. But I guess when curating and creating UK Black Pride, we recognise that much of the discussion and discourse around, race, gender, class, sexuality, sexual orientation was missing from wider mainstream LGBT plus, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and the plus equates to the many different identities on the spectrum. We realized that we weren't part of those conversations. So we created, I guess, this space of Black and brown queer joy that allowed us to look inwardly, allow us to hold one another, allow us to love on one another in the ways that we wanted to, whilst also challenging some of these structural and systemic issues that continue to perpetuate our lives in ways that are unimaginable. So we've grown from strength to strength, and we are, I guess, part of that foundational liberation movement that wants to see real change, and real change for everyone, not just a select few.
Lady Phyll, thank you so much for talking to us today and for the fascinating discussions. I could have carried on talking to you for hours.
And thank you so much for having me, and happy International Women's Day. And let's talk about it 365 days of the year. Thank you, Lucille.